If you're brand new to knitting and you've been dreaming about making some amazing scarves and stunning sweaters, then stick with me. There are several things that you can do right now as a beginner to help build a really solid foundation so that you can start knitting some of those amazing projects that you're kind of dreaming about today. So I want to share several of my top habits that you can start as a beginner right now to build those foundational skills so that you can knit those things that you're dreaming about. These are secrets that I wish I would have known from day one because they would have just saved me a lot of time and headache and frustration. So hoping to help you avoid that with some of these habits today. So habit number 1 is mastering your tension. Now this is one of the things that really tripped me up as a beginner. I was really inconsistent in how I was holding the yarn, which led to some stitches that looked kind of wobbly or wonky or just overall uneven. So that's kind of what tension is, if it's a new word for you. Just in its simplest form, it's how your knitting looks in your project. Do the stitches all look pretty consistent, or is there maybe some sections where it's a little bit more loose or a little bit more tight? So that's tension kind of in a nutshell, how your stitches look overall in the project. And tension is directly impacted by how you're holding the yarn as it's flowing through your fingers when you knit the project, and to some degree, how you're knitting your stitches and potentially even some of the tools that you're using. So if you find yourself knitting on the couch, like I often do, you'll want to make sure you have your yarn, the working yarn, coming at you at a steady pace. Now, if you're working off of a skein of yarn, something that's kind of rolled up, and you're working from the outer end of that skein of yarn, so you're having to unwind it as you go, that can potentially lead to tighter stitches than normal. As you're knitting, if you're not exactly pulling the yarn, in a good steady pace, the yarn could be a little bit tighter because it needs to be unwound more, and so on and so forth. So be mindful of the yarn that's coming to your project. That will really help you overall with tension, just kind of on a higher level, if you will. But fundamentally, tension really results from your hands and how you're holding the working yarn in your hands. So making sure that you have a good, comfortable grip on the yarn is probably the most important habit that you can build right now as a beginner. So when it comes to holding the yarn, there are a couple of different styles that you can go with. There are different ways that you can wrap the yarn around your finger, around your pinky finger, to help sort of regulate that tension coming from this skein of yarn to your project. So you want to play around with that and really find a comfortable rhythm. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you like to knit like I do, or if you like to knit continental style, or you like to knit in some other style that you may have seen. As long as it's comfortable for you and you're seeing consistent results, that's the most important thing. Now, I also mentioned briefly that the tools or the knitting needles that you're using can also play into your tension in your project. And that's really to say that the needle has to be right and feel good in your hands. It doesn't mean that there's one particular style or brand of needles that is like the best and the one that you should use. That's totally not what I'm saying. But it's really important to find the needle that works well and feels comfortable for you. Specifically, the material. So traditionally, wooden and plastic needles have what's called more drag on the yarn. And what that means is it's a little bit stickier, I guess is another way that you can look at it. The yarn sticks to those materials a little bit better, and it's also fiber dependent. Sometimes wool can stick to these a little bit more, maybe than like cotton or something that's bamboo, or just a slippery yarn in general. But overall, wooden and plastic needles have a little bit more drag. Now, some beginners find this really good and very comfortable because it helps them to keep the stitches on the needles and not, sliding off and that sort of thing. But other people find that this drag makes their tension a little bit tighter. That was me personally. I really liked them initially when I was learning how to knit, but as I got a little bit faster, I found that wooden needles just sort of slowed me down a little bit because of the extra drag. And so that's why I sort of graduated into using metal needles. So experiment with the materials that you're using, make sure you find one that works well for you, feels comfortable to you, and just feels good in your hands. I think overall, your tension will definitely improve just based on that. So when it comes to mastering your tension, like all things, practice makes perfect. Or better, actually. Nothing can ever be perfect. A project can never be perfect. But the more you practice, the more you'll get better at it. Habit number 2 is counting your stitches as you go. Now this one, I will admit, is very boring and it's not for everybody, and I pushed back a lot on this as a beginner knitter, but I kind of found out the hard way that in some instances you really do have to just buckle down and pay attention to what you're doing and sometimes count some stitches. So just counting the stitches every couple of rows, maybe every 10 or 20 rows later on after you sort of get the hang of things and build up the muscle memory. So getting into the habit of counting the stitches within the same row to keep track, or to learn to start keep tracking of a stitch repeat and a row repeat, if you're repeating something over 2 or 3 or 4 rows, that can go a long way to set you up for those bigger and more fancy stitch patterns for later projects. Habit number 3 is learning to read your knitting. This is one of those things that I really, really wish I knew how to do this sooner than I actually did, because if I knew how to read my knitting, or basically look at my stitches and identify what they are, I would have saved myself so much drama and so much headache and frustration that ultimately led me to giving up knitting for a very, very long time. And so this one skill, if you take nothing away from this video, take this one away. Knowing how to look at your work and say, this is a knit stitch, or this is a purl stitch, or this is a yarn over, or this is a knit two together, or whatever stitch you're working with. If you can look at what you've just done on that row that you're still knitting and be able to tell what the stitch is, you can do so many things. First of all, how many times have you been working on your project and you got interrupted and you had to set it down? And let's say you're still working on a pretty simple stitch pattern. Maybe you were alternating knits and purls, doing some kind of ribbing pattern or whatever. And you set it down, you do whatever you needed to do, you come back to it, and then not realize where you left off, because, you know, we're human. We forget these things in a matter of minutes, it seems like. So you go back to your work and you're like, shoot, I don't know if I ended on a knit or a purl, and then you don't know how to proceed. So if you can look at your work and say, this is a knit stitch, and I know that after a knit stitch, I'm supposed to do a purl stitch, or whatever your stitch pattern happens to be, it can save you in that particular scenario. So reading your knitting is one of those things, like I said, that if you take nothing away, take this thing away and really focus your attention on this. This is something that you can practice within your project, whatever one you're working on right now, and just basically look down and try to memorize what a knit stitch looks like right as it's sitting on your needles, and what a purl stitch looks like. Those are the two most common stitches. You often use those two in some kind of combination to form all sorts of other knit stitch patterns, but there are a few other ones too. We have yarn overs, which kind of create like a hole in your work. They're used often in like lacy stitch patterns. But they look a lot like a regular stitch just on your needles, and that's how they can often be mistaken for other things. And then later on down the road, as you're learning about knitting increases and decreases, they all look a little bit different too. Just pay very close attention to what that looks like when it's on your needle. Take a mental note and try to remember that that is what that particular stitch looks like, so that over time you can sort of build up this library, or this dictionary, I guess, of knit stitches that you know how to read. Now, habit number 4 is another one that really hits home for me, and it's to embrace your mistakes. I know it sounds silly that it's even a habit, but it's so important that it kind of has to be a habit that you build, because I don't know, if you're anything like me, it's really, really difficult to accept a mistake in my project. I am often really, really tempted to undo my work, often sometimes hours and hours of work, just so I can fix one silly little mistake. And if you've heard my backstory before, you know that that is ultimately what led me to quitting my knitting and then thankfully picking it up a little bit later. Because if I make a mistake, like I said, I have a really hard time letting it go and accepting the fact that it's there. Now, if you find a mistake in your work within the same row, it really doesn't require a lot of time or effort to rip back to that mistake just within the same row. It wasn't really until I got into these more intricate stitch patterns that I really had to sit back and say, okay, I am probably the only one that notices this one tiny mistake out of the tens of thousands of stitches sometimes within a project. I get so fixated on that one stitch being wrong and it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. So I feel like everybody can see it. And that's just not the case. Like 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10. If you're gifting something to somebody and you have one stitch that's off among thousands, they're not going to notice. The hardest part here, and the habit I think that you have to form, is learning to let go of it and accept it yourself. Because ultimately, if you get into a position where the perfectionist gets the best of you, and I get it, I am there with you. I have to fight this because naturally I am a perfectionist and I hate for there to be a mistake in my project. But the one thing I hate more than a mistake being in my project is having to undo hours of work. I am not one to waste my precious time. I have so many wonderful things that I could be using that time for, and it doesn't ever make sense for me to undo and re-knit hours worth of work. So that's the one way I have been able to justify leaving one mistake within a project. You know ultimately what works for you. So whatever you have to do to learn to accept these mistakes, and it is a learning process, then give that a try. That is, like I said, one of those habits that it really goes a long way. Habit number 5, if you have been looking for an excuse to knit every single day, well, here it is, my friend, because habit number 5 that I think you should get into as a beginner is to practice every day. And I'm not saying you have to spend a ton of time on this. You don't have to knit like for an hour every single day. Just knit like 5 stitches a day. Whatever you can do, if it's 1 or 2 stitches a day, if it's 1 row a day, if you can work in an hour of knitting every day. I mean, every little bit helps because during that time, you're building muscle memory, you're getting better at tension, you're getting better at reading your knitting, you're getting more proficient and fast in how you're doing it, you're getting more coordinated. There's just so many benefits to practicing every day. It's not just for knitting, right? It's for everything in general. Practice generally always makes better, and so that's why it's a good habit to get into as a beginner. Now, if you're finding it really difficult to get some kind of practice in every day, I would say start with really small projects. Whenever we have just sort of like a bite-sized chunk of something that we're working on, it feels a lot more attainable. So if you have problems maybe with finding the motivation to work on something because you feel like, well, I spent an hour on this yesterday and it's the same size as it was before, so I feel like I wasted that hour. I get that. I was the same exact way. Again, right? I don't like to waste time. So if I spend a lot of time on something and I can't see a lot of progress, then I'm just less likely overall to keep doing that thing. So for me, knitting small projects was the way to sort of get around that. I would knit projects like hats, especially baby hats, because they're really, really small. Headbands are also a really good one. Washcloths and like practical things that you can use around your home. We talked about coasters before. Washcloths, bookmarks are another really small project that you can take on. Anything that sounds fun and interesting too, I think can go a really long way. Because if you're not interested in making the project, then you're even less likely to keep practicing and find, little chunks of time throughout the day to practice your skills. These 5 little habits I think can go a really, really long way to helping you build your skills so you can get to the point where you are now as a beginner, maybe kind of feeling a little bit awkward still with your projects, and getting to those really stunning and interesting and intricate and beautiful projects that you have saved on your Pinterest board that you just can't wait to start knitting. So practice now, build up to that, and know that there's quite a bit in between, right? You can't just go from being a beginner and learning the basics or knowing the basics, and then jumping straight into those really intricate and maybe more detailed projects, because there's a little bit of learning, there's some muscle memory, there's a lot that goes into in between. So start now with your easy projects that you find are fun to make, so you actually keep making them, and that are easy enough to make you feel accomplished, like you feel like you're working towards a goal. You don't have to spend 10 years trying to get from where you are now to where you want your knitting skills to be. It all comes down to the amount of effort and time that you put into it, as with most things, right? But you can also take a more structured approach, I guess, to it. If you know that you want to get from point A to point B in a quicker time frame, just be a little bit more strategic about the projects that you choose. So start super easy, let the next project be a tiny bit more difficult. Maybe it incorporates another technique or another stitch or something that you don't know, so that with every single project, you can learn just a little bit more. And over time, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a long length of time, you'll get to the point where you're knitting those projects that you're dreaming about right now. So these are just some habits that I think worked really well for me, but I know there's probably several more out there that could really help you. So if you've been a knitter for a while and you're watching and you have some habits that really helped you get from kind of beginner to those amazing projects, leave those in the comments below. I think that'll definitely help our new viewers who are watching. Or if you're a beginner and you want to commit to making at least one of these changes in your daily knitting routine, leave which habit you're going to start in the comments below. Either way, I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy knitting, and I'll see you in the next one.